I'm Vin.
I'm Sori.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the Filthy Capitalist option. As Sori says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and then get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at vinsori@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Yep. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go on the village, facebook.com/Vin and Sori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 here and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch.
Buy our merch.
And shall lead them.
Yes. So it's been a very interesting, heartbreaking stream tonight.
Yeah, a lot of relationship issues. Shout out to the big homie DJ Mike. DJ Mike. We're here for you, bro.
No, that's DJ Mark.
Oh, sorry, my bad. DJ Mark. We're here for you, bro.
Yep. Send us an email.
Looks like you've been having a hard time. All the songs are relationship songs in this DJ stream, ladies and gents. We just got done doing Coheed and Camera, crazy banger song. The big homie DJ Mike started the stream hardcore. What is it? Well Enough Alone by Chevelle.
Oh, man.
Shout out to the homie. Right now, we're...
Knives. Bullet from My Valentine.
Yeah, but...
So this should be really good.
The name of the song is Lies?
No, the name of the song is Knives.
Okay, the name of the song is Knives, ladies and gents. From the wonderful band...
I'm not sure which is more dangerous. Knives or lies?
Gotta be Lies, right?
Yes.
All right. Thank you guys for... About the echo.
Yes.
Okay. Without further ado, you beautiful people. Without further ado, this is Bullet for My Valentine. Let's go. Okay. Kicking.
Okay, gonna lose it.
Living with snakes, feeding the hate, kill up and drown. Shedding the skin,
crazy. Yo, bro. Brosif.
Oh my gosh.
Brosif.
No joke.
Brosif. Yo, bro.
Ridiculous. Oh, I knew it was going to be a good one. I just knew it was going to be a good one.
That was just hard, bro. Mm-hmm. That was just hard.
I had to remove my crown.
Hard metal.
Yep.
Guitar-driven track. Heavy riffage, which is, everybody knows, I love the guitar shit, because I do the guitar on the band. Just one of the more, just a really amazing song. Really, really amazing song. They did a really, really good job. I think this is the best song I've heard for the month. Man, it was just straight raw. It was aggression. That chorus, bring out the knives. Mm-hmm. Probably one of the hardest choruses of all time ever. Just a really, really, really crazy track, man. That shit was historic. Holy moly. What a strong finish from the big homie DJ Mike.
And to start out the song,
I keep saying it, DJ Mike. It's DJ Mark, inshallah.
To start out the song with "Let the Madness Begin,"
yeah,
I felt like that was perfect, and then it just went mad. I loved it.
These fools are about to get busy, bro.
Yep, I loved it. I loved it.
Busy on these fools.
Living with snakes, feeding the hate, kill or betrayal, shedding the skin, bitter with shedding the skin again. Mm-hmm. That other song had that. Bitter within, cower with shame. Venomous tongue back in the lungs, kissing the pain with constant pushing, provoking reactions. Ooh boy, in the chorus, bring out the knives to cut and divide, another scar for memories. Bring out the knives to cut and divide, let them breathe, watch them burn in the fire.
Yikes.
Well, it...
Here, look. Here's Ben Webb.
Oh God.
This sounds like any dime that doesn't chug-a-lug-a breakdown core song. Absolutely embarrassing. Ben, the point of music and art is to move a person. Move them emotionally.
But
whether it's
that advice is for people with a soul.
Whatever. So, musicianship is not just about skill work or doing something crazy and innovative. A lot of it is just, can you move the crowd?
Yep.
Period. And can you write music and lyrics that people have written down about it? That's the issue. Okay. I'm living with snakes, feeding the hate, kill or betrayal. Shedding the skin, bitter within, cower with shame. Venomous tongue back in the lungs, kissing the pain with constant pushing, provoking reactions. So this is somebody.
Oh, do you think there's a connection between bitterness and shame?
Well, considering pride is at the root of both, probably. But here he's got it all on the other person, man. The other person's a traitor, blah blah blah. And then he's going to bring out the knives to cut and divide. Another scar for memories. Bring out the knives to cut and divide. Let him breathe. Watch him burn in the fire.
Is that the other person bringing out the knives? Or is he bringing out the knives to fight back?
No, I think it's him. I think he's saying...
Or is he cutting himself?
Well, the knife... I think the first line is metaphorical in the same way that Jesus is, I've come to bring a sword is metaphorical. Mm-hmm. Right? Like... He's about to do something that's gonna divide their little crew or whatever it is. So that's a very difficult thing to do, man. To do that. To like be the cause of division.
Yeah.
When there needs to be division. So for example, from a biblical perspective, God created all the races and all the commensurate problems that come with races at the Tower of Babel. Because we were together, we're like, God says nothing will be impossible for them. These people are about to make life really miserable for themselves. So he spread everybody out. So that tells me that unity is not God's ultimate value.
Right.
Because he created disunity at the Tower of Babel.
Right.
And it's really interesting because when I talk... The kids went to some church. There's a local church over here, and the average age is like 58 or something like that. So so the boys, they're really big on Medicare for all. They're drafting a petition for our state, yada yada yada. And we talk about it almost every day. And so he goes to this church. So Johan brings his petition to this church, and I knew what was going to happen. I was like, all right, man, go ahead. I was like, I guarantee you they're going to be against it, but go for it. So he brings it in, right? He brings it into to the church. And, of course, the people in the church were like, this is terrible, blah, blah, blah. What did she say? God told us to manage our money properly.
Is that what she said?
Yeah. And then, of course, somehow critical race theory got brought up, and they were saying all types of crazy, ignorant shit about that, too. It's just, like... And I think those people are dead wrong. That's not the message of Christ. So division, look, and that's one of the things they were saying. They're like, oh, talking about race is divisive. It's like...
Not racism itself. Not the things that go on as a result of that. It's talking about the issue that's the problem. There was a lot of people, though, that their families run like that, like, I was doing this personality thing with one of the kids, and it was asking, do you prefer honesty or harmony? And I think a lot of people, if they're not directly affected by the injustice, they want harmony. Yeah. But when they're affected by it, now they want honesty, they want justice. Right. So as long as it's, other people's kids getting shot up, then they're fine with that. Then it's divisive to even talk about it. Yeah. It's infuriating.
That's one of the things that they say is, oh, this is divisive. Well, it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be. But people who are living in sort of the status quo and enjoying themselves, they can't understand why other people would want to upset the apple cart. So you got a lot of people that are sitting in a privileged position going, what's with all this division? And that's because they're benefiting from, a system that obviously needs reform.
Right. Well, we talked before about... the signs that people will hold in front of like Planned Parenthood and stuff. Yeah. And it's just dismembered children. It's really sad. And, there was this person that was super upset about the sign. I always felt uncomfortable with the signs too. But I remember I said something to you about it and you said, so what? These people are more upset by the sign than what happened that created the sign, than what goes on to create the sign. And so it's the same thing with this. It's like, so they're not upset about the racism or the division that racism causes. They're upset that you had the audacity to bring it up in their presence. That's what they're calling divisive. It's absolutely ridiculous. And how dare you say that to a child? How dare you invalidate a child's pain? You are a grown person. How are you going to invalidate the concerns of my children? And they didn't, I said, did they even ask you what experiences you've had from it? Or they just right off the bat just said it doesn't exist? right off the bat. Didn't even ask these kids.
Oh, there's...
Yeah, didn't ask them. What have you been your experiences? What are your thoughts? Blah.
Yeah, some groups, sometimes it's important to divide. You just have to. And obviously a big one's coming up in evangelicalism pretty soon here with this CRT stuff. There's going to be a massive church split in America, and it has to be done.
Yep.
You know, Paul says...
There's so much lies floating
he
around
says,
now.
surely, he said to the Corinthians, surely there must be divisions among you so that we could see who's in the right. Now, half the commentators think that Paul is being sarcastic because his writing style to the Corinthians is very, very, sarcastic. So a lot of people saying, oh, he was just being sarcastic. The other group of people say, no, that's literal. He really meant that shit. And I'm kind of in that camp. Watch all.
I'm
See what
not
I'm saying?
surprised.
Yeah. Well, what did you think of that? What do you think of that passage?
I never thought of it before, but I mean, there was another verse where he says, remember, I think it was about that. He said it was with close to the head coverings part, and then he said something about the other churches. Oh, dang it! Shoot, you don't remember what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'll have to look later and bring it up to you again. But it was kind of the same. Yeah, it's the divisions among you.
Yeah, surely there must be divisions among you so that we can prove who's right.
Maybe that is the one I'm thinking of.
It's in the neighborhood of that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, yeah, I would agree with that. I would think that it was. There has to be divisions, or else how would it?
Digging a hole, bury the trust, lay it to rest.
Yeah, see, I don't know what I think. I'd have to think about that more.
That's that right there. What he just said. That is crazy.
Which thing? Digging. What did you say? Which part?
Digging a hole, bury the trust, lay it to rest. So that violation of trust right there, bury the trust, like that is probably. Go ahead, you comment on it because I'm trying to figure out how to phrase this. Go ahead.
Well, he said, digging a hole, bury the trust, lay it to rest. It's died. Swallow the dirt, breathe in the dust, savor the taste, hammer the nails, nothing to say, walking away from the constant screaming, provoking the madness. So it looks to me that trust has been lost. He's burying the trust, but then it kind of sounds like he's going to take the path of just being like, okay, well, our relationship, the dynamics have completely changed and you're not the person that I can trust anymore. But I'm just going to lay that to rest. That's what it kind of sounded like at first. But then he says, swallow the dirt, breathe in the dust, savor the taste. So I don't know if he's allowing himself to feel the full pain of that betrayal so that he is able to hammer the nails, say nothing, and just walk away from all of it.
Well, I mean, the hammer the nails seems to be a
coffin
or a crucifixion. It depends, but I think coffin is probably best for you, based on what he's saying. But that's one big thing I tell the boys a lot is that trust is very easy to lose and damn near impossible to get back. And that's one of the things that's important to me is maintaining the trust factor in a relationship. I think communication is the most important, but the trust factor is like right under that. And if you're in a relationship where the trust keeps getting broken, you got to look at yourself and say, what the hell is going on? Because there's a point where it's being done to you, and then there's another point where you're an enabler. And a lot of times what ends up happening is when the person who's an enabler finally has had enough, he then or she then wants to go and make all the previous instances square. These are all the times I got taken advantage of. Now I'm going to make it square. And I just don't think that's healthy. I think what's healthy is recognizing, oh, that's who that person was. And then make those adjustments in the future. I don't think there's any benefit in going back into the past and rehashing all the shit all the ways in which the person lost your trust. Because then you get kind of obsessed with betrayal. And then the next time you're in a relationship, forget it. Because your entire mind has been camping out on all that craziness. So now you're in a relationship, forget it, man.
Yeah, and I think too
make life a
that
living hell for that boy.
If you go backwards and you rehash everything through the lens of betrayal, I think you might find betrayals where there weren't any.
Correct.
So, you know, that's the one thing that I've been learning a lot about, you know, with the different stuff that we've been watching on the mind and how the mind works and reality versus how you interpret reality. So a lot of times what we see, it goes through the lens of our interpretation, and that's why you can kind of get different stories about what happened. You know, like when two people split up and you hear one person's story, there's a verse in the Bible that says, basically, when you hear the first person's testimony, it makes complete sense until you hear the second guy's. And then it's like, okay, well, actually, wait a minute. They both kind of make sense. And usually the truth is somewhere in the middle of the two stories. I mean, there are obviously some open and shut cases like abuse. That's not there's no two parties there. There's somebody's a bad guy.
Right.
Or a bad woman. But I think that, yeah, if you look back on something because of somebody's betrayal, like I did that, I think, a lot with my ex, like when I was working through stuff, and I would say to you, oh, and this was probably going on with that. And you were like, well, I think that's a bit of a stretch. He did have this and that issue, but that is, you know what I mean? Like, you just happen to be a very balanced person for me to talk about that with. I think that most people would be like, yeah, fuck your ass. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you had got to the point where, like, he had to give you a download of every...
No, I'm saying even after the relationship was done.
Oh.
Like, when I would look back over things and I'm like, oh, yeah, and this happened. And you'd be like, well, sorry, I don't think that was...
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Can you... Do you... I just don't think that those are survivable for a relationship, man, in violation of trust. But it happens all the time. People just keep going. You know what I'm saying? So... Love is love, man. People are going to do what they're going to do. And sometimes reason and logic is not the only factor to deal with in these types of situations.
I think too that there are different types of betrayal and different types of loss of trust. And I think that everybody has a category where they're like, look, you can cross me in all these different areas, but do not cross me in this one. And that was basically what I said in my past relationship. I said, look, all these things, whatever, I'm going to work with you. But if you cross me on this one thing, it's going to be too much for me. And I know that. So don't ever put me in that situation.
Yep.
And then they crossed me on that one. And, well, I stayed for a little bit. But then eventually, when they weren't stopping.
You stayed for a year and a half.
Yeah. When they weren't stopping. Did I really?
Yeah.
I thought it was like 3 months. Wow. Yeah, you're right. It was... so many frustrating things.
But you can't. It's. I'm not gonna say it's impossible. With God, anything is possible. But I just think that, you know, and especially if the person finds out about your violation from someone else.
Yeah.
I do think it's kind of forgivable if the person comes up to you and says, look, I said this and this and this, or I did this and this and that. I think they've got a fighting chance. But when you find out from somebody else, it's over. People are not gonna, because they're not gonna look at it as genuine, because it's not. Obviously, you just you're upset because you got caught.
Right.
But man, this one was crazy. Like I this is a 10 for me.
Oh yeah, it was for me as well.
Really, really, really good song. And obviously, he says you're not a saint, you're a slave, which probably has to do with some religious hypocrite that does all types of craziness. Yeah. What did you give it a 10 as well?
Yeah, I did. Breaking apart, torn at the seams, sanity fails. Tread by the edge, pushed into hell, never again, never again. Constant pushing, provoking reactions. I think that when you get to that point where you say like never again and you're like all that definitive language and stuff, you're not in a very good spot and you need to get you need to get help. You know, I think that there's a lot of times people
say that again.
Like when somebody's at the point where they're like they get an unrealistic like I will never for instance, like if they say, I will never be put in a situation where somebody can betray me like that again. And then you're at a place where you get into the next relationship, and the next relationship might be an absolutely wonderful relationship, but you swore to yourself you were never going to. For instance, so like with myself, like because I felt like that person made a fool of me, and so I said, I will never let this happen again. And so there have been times where I've made your life very miserable because I wanted to make sure that I maintained that vow to myself. So if there was a chance that, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. I mean, but I do think there's also wisdom. Like, for example, if a woman got hooked up with a wife beater or whatever, I think it's positive for her to say, I'm never going to put myself in that situation.
Right.
But no, you're right. You're right on the other side too with that as well. And obviously we've got
but the reason
people in our lives, that's an issue for sure.
Yeah. The reason I went to that interpretation for the never again was because he said breaking apart, torn at the seams, sanity fails, tread by the edge, pushed into hell, never again. So that doesn't sound like it's the type of person that's like their sanity's failing, they're breaking, it's at that extreme moment where they're like, never again. It doesn't sound like someone who's calculated and said, okay, I'm not going to put myself in that situation. It sounds like somebody who's falling apart saying, I'll never again. Mm-hmm. So anyway, yeah, 10 for me. 10 for me. Yep.
I feel that Brian Walker and Ben Webb are brethren. They have the exact same initials. Right? So I'm pretty sure that Ben Webb is Brian Walker. Because I never see Brian Walker anywhere except for when Ben is around. Brian Walker offered me dinner once. Well, there you are. We've come to the end.
To who?
We've come to the end of our DJ stream, ladies and gents. If you're just watching this on regular YouTube, you missed it. There was almost 3 hours of goodness, of songs, community, all that jazz, and now look at you. You're only on watching it video instead of live.
Sorry for you.
How about you unsubscribe and resubscribe and then hit the notification bell? That way you can know when we're going. Having said that, dear listener, it's a 10 for me.
10 for me.
Vin out.
Sori out.
Gone.